Today's video, we're going to talk about PPC for beginners. And here's what you need to know up front to succeed. There's a lot of information out there on the general web, on YouTube included, about how to make money running PPC ads for your business. If you're a new business owner, everybody's going to have to go through the trial and error of figuring out how to run ads for yourself, because typically you don't have the money to hire a true expert. You could try to go out and hire a cheap expert, and there is no such thing as a cheap expert when it comes to PPC. If you don't have at least a few $1,000s a month to hire a credible PPC agency, don't waste your time with it. This is a common scam that most people are falling for out there. You have to just roll up your sleeves and figure out how to do it yourself. That said, the information that you start out with could save you tons and tons of time, your journey in trying to figure out how to get a profitable ad campaign set up for yourself that'll scale and grow and get you to the point where the experts can be paid to take over and you work and focus on something else in your business, if you will. With that said, I'm going to share with you what these things are that you should know, going into your journey, so you don't waste any unnecessary time that's not necessary for you to get to the point where you could hire an employee to take it over or whatnot. Or if you want to manage your ads forever, a lot of people still do, what it is that's going to take you to run an ad account that's going to produce millions of dollars of revenue profitably for your business. I'm Corey Ziman, owner of Guaranteed PPC. We are a PPC/online advertising agency that guarantees results for clients, more profitability on your ads before a management fee is charged. With that said, been doing this business, working directly with clients at our agency for 10 years now, and I have 20 years of overall internet marketing experience overall to give you the information I'm giving you on today's video. So I went through all the stuff that you personally went through before, starting back in 2004, 2005, made all the mistakes. And I just laugh when people say, don't make fun of my account or whatever. I did all the stupid mistakes, all the possible mistakes that you can make. There's unfortunately, no book that you can read that's going to be like, okay, here's how to run ads for a business. Step one. And the courses that you're going to buy out there aren't going to be able to tell you. It's going to give you basic general advice, but it's not going to give you the step-by-step. You're going to have to make all the mistakes for yourself, because every business is just a little bit different. That said, you can obviously pay attention to some advice. You don't have to totally make every mistake yourself and start with no information. But it's key that you get the information from somebody who actually knows what the hell they're doing, because I can promise you, most of the information you find on the web, on YouTube, is coming from people that are just trying to sell you a course, who don't actually run any ads. They prey on people like yourself that don't know any better. Anybody who truly knows how to run ads, they watch this content on YouTube and they know people like that subscribe to my channel here, because I'm actually going into detail on the specifics on what works, and I'm able to do that because I've run hundreds of accounts to give you the information that I'm talking about on today's video. So with that said, getting into the content here, I'm going to explain what are these 5 key tenets that you should know going into your experience. Also, if you stay to the end of the video, tell you about how much money can be made if you just figure out the one thing in your business, which is to run online ads for it. Truly, that's the most valuable skill there is. The reason why you can't hire a cheap PPC expert is because anybody who knows how to run PPC ads will be rich one way or another, whether they charge a load of money for people to set up their ads or run their own companies. They don't need to take a little bit of a little wage. And yes, some people can be paid a little wage to run your ads. It doesn't mean they know how to run and take $1 and turn it into $10 for you, which is the only thing that ultimately matters. If you figure this out, my point is here, though, that it's the most valuable skill. Everything else in your business can be outsourced once you figure out how to run ads, if you're good at running the ads. Literally everything else, and to the point where it should be your main focus, because everything else can be outsourced once you figure out how to be deadly effective with pay-per-click ads, running ads on Google, running ads on Facebook, and so forth. So these 5 things, though, that I'm going to tell you here, the average person's just going to jump into running their ads. They're going to hear oh, Facebook ads worked for them, I'm going to try that. They don't take a step backwards first and understand things at the 10,000 foot level, that you have to understand the fundamental tenets of what gets an ad to work on Facebook to work before you can run a Facebook ad. Because if you just hear that Facebook ads work and you go and you set up an ad right away, it's not going to get you a return on an investment. Yeah, you may make some sales. Those sales are irrelevant if you don't make enough sales to offset the cost of the ads, and enough to where you can start reinvesting your profit that you're making after all your expenses of your delivering your product or service and so forth, to reinvest into more ad spend and keep growing the ad spend, because that's how you eventually make millions of dollars. The guys that you see making millions of dollars, your competitors or whatnot, they started out with a tiny budget, most of them anyway, and they just did that. They took what they were doing very seriously. They made some money, they reinvested it into a little bit more ad spend. They took their $1,000 a month and they went to $2,000, $4,000, and now they're spending $100,000 a month, and they're making $1 million a year from this ad campaign. But you don't get there overnight. Even if you are good at ads, you don't get there overnight, because a lot of it comes down to trial and error still. Because like I said earlier in the video, there's just things that are slightly different business to business that you have to figure out running ads for that business. So anyway, this will give you the basic overview so that you understand what process that you need to go through that's going to get you to the end goal of what I'm talking about here, making millions of dollars of running ads for your business, setting up the ads for yourself as quick as possible, or as quick as it can be. It's never going to be completely quick, because you got to learn, and then also you got to collect data about what works and what doesn't work on top of that, which a lot of people don't understand. They think running ads is like a switch. You turn your ads on and it works instantly. Even the big boys, they had to run their ads, find the 10% of what they did that worked, then focus on that, get rid of the other 90%, take that 10%, try something else, find the 10% of that worked. You do that over and over and over again, and eventually you have a big spending account that only focuses on what works, and then with that, you get the big result that you want. So unless you're offering something that has super high demand and super low competition, your ads are not going to work instantly. It's going to take a little bit of collecting data, what worked, what didn't work. And when I say what worked and what didn't work, I mean, is old people going to be profitable for you? Is young people? Is people from Ohio profitable to you? Or is it people from California? You got to figure this stuff out when you run your campaign. With that said, getting into this, so the first thing you got to know is who's your customer, okay? And this is why the most common kind of mistake people make when they try to run ads is they think it's going to be so easy. When you're new at something, you always think it's going to be easy until you try it. Then you realize how complicated it is. And this is completely true with running pay-per-click ads for your business, regardless of where you're going to run them. With that said, they don't even know who their customer is, and they don't even try to figure out who their customer is before they run their ads. Whereas you could save yourself so much time. The more research you can do on who buys a product or service like yours at your price point, the less money you're going to have to waste in ad spend to get to that end customer that you have to get to anyway, if you will, and time wasted. Because time is also money. If you could get to where you're making money sooner, well then, there's months that you had it working that you wouldn't have had it worked if you didn't do the research beforehand. The research, even though it takes time, will save you money and time that it takes, basically instead of it taking 12 months to get to profitability with your starting ad spend at 6 months or in 6 months, if you just spent 2 weeks doing the research up front. So when I say know your customer, it's not just saying, if you sell Nike shoes. It's not just knowing, oh, my customer is anybody who wants to buy Nike shoes. No, that's not good enough. That's not what I'm talking about here. You have to understand, okay, who buys Nike shoes? Okay, this ethnicity of person, this income. People in this area tend to buy Nike shoes more than the mean of the rest of the country. People who are male buy Nike shoes. People who like watching basketball like buying Nike shoes. And a lot of this stuff is trivial, like, you'll find that, male and female both alike like to buy shoes or your product or whatnot, and it's not going to be that big a differentiator from one to the other. But there are certain things you'll find that, like, if the biggest thing in what we do is income. You'll find that if somebody's in the top 10% of income demographic in the country, they're 10 times more likely to buy than somebody that's in the bottom half. That's the type of thing that you're looking to find out up front, so you don't have to waste a bunch of money to find it out. But even if you did have money, you could actually run your ads and find that out just through running your ads. And the way that you figure that stuff out with no money or little money up front is you go read all your competitors' reviews and you just study them. What are they bitching about? What do they want? What's important to them? And from what they're saying, what can you devise that who it is that's even leaving this review? So you learn two things there, though. You learn who it is who's buying and why they buy, and that information is critical for you to be able to understand how to set up an ad effectively right from the start or as quick as possible. So once you kind of understand who your customer is, what income they have, what their hobbies, their traits that make them, things that make them very, very unique and have a very high probability of becoming your customer if they were propositioned what you have to sell. Once you figure that out, then you got to find out where your most likely place to find them is. It's laughable to me, but I still see a lot of people like their first thought is, oh, TikTok's popular. Let's run our ads on TikTok. And that's like the dumbest thing ever because it's usually younger people who buy on TikTok or are on TikTok. And guess who has, at least if you're talking about the US, guess who has all the money? Not young people. So, and you sell something that is not a need to have, it's a want to have. And in America, there's very little middle class, if not any middle class anymore. So if you're going to sell a want to somebody and be successful, you got to be able to sell to the top 20% of income demographic. And that's not on TikTok. So you basically failed before you started. And if you just thought a little bit before you started, you'd save yourself so much time. And that's why you got to figure out who your customer is up front. Because if you don't know who your customer is, you don't know where you can find them. But not only that, it may not even be on TikTok or on Facebook or on Google. Most of the time it is. But it could just be the people that I sell to as audio engineers. So what do? We go to find a audio engineer forum and we buy a banner ad space on that audio engineer forum. A lot of people aren't talking about that. You go to where the customer is. It's just like robbing banks. If you're going to go ahead, ask the people who rob banks why they rob banks, they say that's where the money is, if you will. They're not stupid. They're not trying to rob, piddly little gas station. Go to where the money is. Make it as easy as on yourself as possible to make your job of turning $1 into $10 as easy as possible on yourself. Research where they're at. Because there's infinite choices online of where you can advertise and spend your money. You can advertise on Reddit and there's so many subreddits there. You can get in front of a niche audiences there, or you can buy a banner ad on a certain specific website, or you can advertise on a certain YouTube channel, or you could advertise to people who, if you're selling roofs, people who have recently searched for a roof contractor while they're on YouTube with a video ad, which is something that's effective, by the way, and we're doing right now at this time. So there are a million different ways to advertise online. Everybody gets online at some point. You got to figure out where the best place where is the place that has the highest concentration of would-be buyers at, because you got to know who buys, and then it's nice to be able to target them when they're in market and ready to buy on top of it. So you have to figure out where that is. Because if you're selling roofs, get in front of somebody who is likely to buy a roof that's not in market for a roof, it's going to be really, really hard to sell them. You're much better off figuring out who buys the roof and getting in front of a person who's likely to buy a roof in the near future because it's their idea and they started the search. And actually, it's more important in that situation to get in front of the person that's likely to buy a roof in the near future versus knowing who buys a roof, but it's obviously the best when you combine the two. So you got to know what platform to go on. Is it going to be Google, Facebook, TikTok? And then within the platform, what's the audience you're going to target? With Google and YouTube, the great thing there is you could target any niche audience you want. If you want to target somebody who searched for a roof contractor in the recent 30 days, you can do that. If you want to target somebody who likes eating at fast food restaurants, you can do that through Google and the mass amount of data that they have. It's limitless, basically. Or you could target somebody who has high income and likes pets and likes traveling a lot. Google will say, okay, we'll target, unless somebody has all four of those traits, we won't have your ad show up. You could really, really carve the audience that you want out once you understand who they are, which is why it's so important to know who they are and what they are and where they respond before you even spend any money on ads. Once you got all that figured out, it's how much is it going to cost to get going. A lot of people think that it's like gambling in a way, that they're going to put $100 into the slot machine and it either puts out money or it doesn't. It doesn't work like that. If it did work like that, everybody would be rich. Nobody would be working at no goddamn freaking factories and whatnot. They would set up their own little website and put in little money into ads and then they'd be freaking rich. And Anything that's that easy in life, it would be saturated and it wouldn't be worth doing. That said, anybody can make millions running ads for a business. I still truly think that. It's just when 90+% of people are lazy as hell, all you got to do is not be that lazy, and you can be the one that makes the millions. Truly, we see it all the time with people who watch this channel. They contact me. They say they've built their business with the information I'm sharing with you here, or they come to us. We set up their ads for them. And the average people that are reaching out to us saying that they have grown their business so much just with the information I'm sharing with you on this channel, because it's real accurate information, and they just got off to do and put the work in to get their campaign set up right. So what that means though is you have to spend some money to get it going. As I talked about before, very rarely are you going to just start up your ads and it's instantly profitable unless you have something with high demand and low competition. In some cases, if you have that, we'll have the ads literally working right away. But if you don't have that, well, then you got to put some money into the system. I call it on this channel investing what you can afford to lose. If you can afford to maintain a $100 a day budget at the beginning to start getting some data and finding out what works and doesn't work, then that's what you put in. If you can only afford to maintain $10 a day, that's where you start. The more you put in initially, the quicker you'll gather data and the quicker you'll get to profitability with your starting budget. But what you don't want to do is say, I'm going to put 100 a day in this. If this doesn't work in 2 weeks, I'm boned. Because I'm already going to tell you up front, the 95% chance you're going to be boned in that case. You need to invest enough to where if it doesn't work for 6 or 12 months, you could keep investing that money anyway. Most people think it's, again, like a slot machine. I'm going to put money in, and then the sales I get is going to pay for the ads the next week, for the next week's ads. And that's just really retarded thinking. I'm telling you up front, in advance, that's a retarded way to think about this. And I know, because all I do is run ads and I see what works and what doesn't work, head in the sky thinking. So with that said, you will get sales right away. The reality is you have to get so much sales on so much ad spend to cover all your expenses. The product or service cost, all your overhead. And what that typically means is you need to have at least a 5-to-1 ratio of sales to ad spend to keep the ad spend going and having the ad spend pay for itself. Everybody's trying to get to break even with their ads as quickly as possible, because once you do that, you've made it. All of that's going to happen then is the ads are just going to keep getting more and more efficient, more and more profitable, but you got to put money into it to get it profitable. And what most people do that are losers and lose this game is they say, oh, it's been a month, it's not paying for itself. And then they just give up and they don't look at it as, well, if they would have just waited, a couple more months, once it's working, they would have ran that ad for the next 10 years and it would have made, a metric ton of money from that campaign if they weren't so damn impatient up front. But most of it is they think it's like a switch. So they turn on the ads and it either works or it doesn't work. And that's not how it works with algorithms that run these ad platforms nowadays. Now, yes, it's like that if you buy a banner ad on a website. It either works or it doesn't. For the most part, and that's still, not really completely true, because there's something called like repetition in advertising. When somebody sees a message more than once, it becomes more effective, but for the most part it is. Whereas running ads on these mainstream platforms, Google and all that, it's you get a sale, the system sees the traits of a person who bought from you, compares it to the next customer's traits, then gets smarter and smarter about honing in your ads to only show up to people who buy from you. And you can only get to that end point when you've actually generated some sales. And to get those sales, you have to generate those sales at a loss to even build up enough sales data for the algorithm to get your ads to be running efficient. So you have to sum it up, know that it's likely not going to be profitable for a while, and it could be 6 to 12 months before it is profitable easily, but it's worth it because once it is profitable, you're home free, it pays for itself, and it'll keep getting more and more profitable. So you got to know what it's going to cost going in and be willing to commit to it. This is the way that I baseline it for everybody. You need to treat that ad spend, once you commit to it, and make that and assume that if that ad spend did not work, or pretend that if that ad spend did not work for you and you could not make it profitable, that the government would come behead you. And if you think about it that way, you're going to damn well make that ad spend work. You're going to try everything. You're going to read every book. And once you put that amount of effort into it, it's just going to work, assuming you got something marketable to sell. It ain't going to take a polished turd and sell it. But if you can see yourself as a product or service that you say is better than your competition, there's no reason why it won't work. The next thing, once you do that, is you know how much it's going to cost and what you got to commit to. How much results do you need, and how are you going to know if you are succeeding or not? That is how you're going to track your result. It's baffling to me as well that all the people that I have reach out to me at my advertising agency, I'll ask them, I'm like, do you know what your cost per lead needs to be if they're generating leads? And they're like, oh, no. And it's like, you're investing all this money, thousands of dollars a month into your ads already to get them working, and you don't even know what a phone call is supposed to cost for you to be able to make money with this ad campaign. 70% of the people don't know what their cost per lead needs to be, whether or not their ads are even profitable, what their cost per lead is. And so that just means, though, that if you're going to get into it and you actually take it seriously, you're going to be able to win, because most people aren't taking it seriously at all. And therefore, and by the way, you don't copy the competitor because of that. A lot of people think, well, they're running their ads so much, I'm going to copy them. Chances are their ads are not even working. Even if they are spending $10,000 a month on ads, it's likely not even working because they don't even track anything. I can tell you that personally. So don't pay attention to what they're doing. Pay attention to what I'm telling you here. Come up with your numbers up front. Figure out what your customer's worth. Figure out when you get a lead. It's when you're starting out early, you may not know, but if you can estimate how many leads do you need to make a sale? Okay, then take that times what the revenue you expect from the customer is going to be. Take that times what your overhead is, or subtract out your overhead, and then you could just work the number back to where okay, if I get a call for $30 or less, I should be profitable. Now, all I got to do is set up my systems to know if I got a $30 cost per lead. Then I'm set. Then I just got to run my ads. Whatever is not getting me a $30 cost per lead, I just get the hell rid of. Keep the part of what I'm doing that has $30 cost per lead. And now I'm profitable. Now I can start doing something else. Now that this thing I started with is profitable, let's try something else. You go through the process there, then you do the same thing there, then you try something else, another traffic source, and you just keep going and going and going. And that's how fortunes are built with online advertising, and starting with not a lot of money, or you don't have to start with a lot of money. You just got to be able to basically do better than the competition. If you distill this down, if you have an ad that's better, a landing page that's better, tracking that's better, yes, you want to add that in there, targeting that's better than your competition in your market, you're going to make it work. Are you going to put the work in to do that better? It's better than your competition. If so, you're going to make your ads profitable, and if you don't, you won't. It's really that simple. Mainly because these ad platforms reward you if you help the user find what they want easier. And that means your ad's relevant to them. It has a high click-through rate. It's the landing page or site you take them to has a high conversion rate, because that means the user got what they wanted after they clicked the ad. And the reason why they want that is because they want people to click on ads in the future. So anybody they want to basically go away, because that if they just promoted whoever has the most money, then slowly people would figure out I'm not clicking on any ads again, and they would shoot themselves in the foot. So they will help you out do what you want. Once you understand what their users want, give them what they want and give it to them better than the competition already is. And then they have a use for you to be where all the customers are on that platform, if that makes sense. You can actually understand, like if you're talking about running Google search ads at the beginning, which most people start there because people are already in the market for what they want to buy from you already, and you're just getting in front of them and taking their order for the most part. It doesn't take that much sophistication in your sales process or anything to get those customers and get them profitably. That said, you still got to advertise better than them, and if you want to know how to do that, it's very simple. In actuality, it's more so about getting up off your ad, doing more for the customer. So Google prefers to show your ad for all the best customers and so forth. You subscribe to this channel and you start paying attention to the information I'm giving you. We use the same information and literally guarantee results for our clients. So if you want to know how to do it and you don't have the money to pay somebody like us to do it that really knows what they're doing, you watch the videos for free, you implement it, you'll have it. You also can, by the way, check out my blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog. The blog has actual step-by-step instructions to roll out certain campaign strategies that work, so you should check that out as well. And of course, if you're already having at least $100 a day in ad spend to spend, more than likely we can work with you and make that profitable and do it fairly quickly, and it'd be worth it to just have us hook you up with that, because that's what we do for clients at our agency. You can reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com if you're interested in that. We can give you I offer a free consultation at the very beginning of the client relationship to see if we're a right fit. We don't work with just any client, but we can at least see what you have. There seems to be potential with it, because we want products and services that we know we can do well with. But if you're interested in that, you can also reach out. Similar to that, you should also find out if we've got a template available for you, because we've been selling ad templates. In the last 10 years, we've ran hundreds of different accounts in hundreds of different niche markets. And if we've already set up ads and landing pages and all that profitably in your market, but in a different geographic area, it'd be silly to have to figure out all this for yourself out, because we can literally give you the winning ad, the winning landing page, all of it, and you copy paste it into your account, and like that, you'll have it working. And we can sell that to you for a one-time cost, and we can tell you what results you're going to get with it up front. We got people that templates are very popular. That's why I keep bringing it up in these videos. They're using it to start other businesses from scratch. The easiest way to start a business is start with a winning sales funnel that works for it, because that's the hardest part to do. We got people that use these templates to sell leads, because the template generates leads at a cost that they can resell to a person in that space. Or we got people that got into e-commerce that were clueless about it, but and a client that we had sells the product in country A, they can sell it in country B and have a turnkey business. So anyway, if you're interested in that as well, you can reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. Getting back to the content, you got to know what to target and have a way to track it. For an e-commerce business, you at least got to know what ratio of sales to ad spend you need to have going in, because if you don't do that up front, you're going to eventually be faced with coming up with it, because amateurs will do is they'll just wait for their bank account to explode. If their bank account doesn't explode, they're going to say their ads don't work. Ads are hard to get working, and usually you're working on razor thin margins, okay? You got to know if your account says you're making this much sales and your ad spend's this, it's working, and have a system to reliably know if you're over that minimum mark. Obviously, once you hit that mark, then, like I said, you should be jumping up and enjoy, because your ads are now paying for themselves, and you're in position to start scaling the ad spend a little at a time and start making more and more money from what you built already, aka scaling it. So that's the kind of like the fourth tenet you need to know. And then for the final piece here, you need to know what is it going to take to get them to respond. A lot of people don't get this, okay? Is your product or service good enough that if you went out on the street and you said, here's the product or service, you want to buy it, would they actually legitimately be interested or not? Some products that are coming out on the market, they're for sale, you literally just look at that product and you're like, holy, that's cool. Nothing needs to be sugar-coated or anything. So you can run an ad just showing how the product works, and you're already going to start making money because of it. The product is the marketing, if you will, as they say. But for most regular businesses, let's say you're a mortgage broker, nobody gives a rat's whether or not you want to be able to sell mortgages to people. And in fact, I'm not even going to really care, even if I'm in market for a mortgage, because if you offer a mortgage, so does 50 other guys down the street. And frankly, not only does 50 other guys sell it, probably, in my local city at any time, and I'd rather maybe even go through them or go through what my brother, had used. But I could also go to Google at any time and just type in mortgage brokers in XYZ city and have 50,000 choices there. So why the hell am I going to click on your ad while I'm on Facebook looking for family, updates on my family and friends, and stop to respond to your piddly little offer here? The answer to that is there is none. There's no compelling reason for somebody to click on your ad. The general thought of newbies is if they're not interested in the offer and what I sell, they just won't click on it. And if they are interested, I'll pay for the click, and so I don't have to pay if they're not interested. The reality is, the higher the click-through rate on your ad, or the rate in which the ad gets clicked per 100 times it shows, the less you're going to pay per click. So you could try to wait around for a customer to click on your ad. You're just going to be paying $10 for a click. And when you have to pay $10 for a click, and then now only 10 out of 10 of those clicks turn into a customer, you're going to be paying $100 for a lead, and now you're not profitable anymore. Don't be afraid, though, at all, if you sell something that's boring. You just have to come up and use your creativity to offer something and repackage it so that it is interesting. The average person would run a Facebook ad for the mortgage broker, and they'd say, oh, Facebook, it doesn't work. And really, you're the bastard, because you expected average people to respond to your boring offer and just buy, when they don't even buy it that way, and they're just being hypocrites about it. For a mortgage broker, you can say, and a lot of times for that, unless you need a mortgage broker and you're in market for it, yeah, no matter what you say, it's not going to be interesting. But you could say, use us and we'll give you $500 cash back when signing your mortgage, or, which is a real offer we used before, or you can actually do guaranteed lowest rate on your mortgage. We'll give you a free $100 Outback Steakhouse gift card, which is another way that we've done it, that both of which were successful, by the way, to generate leads at a rate that was profitable to run those campaigns. If you're a mortgage broker, you can literally just use that, and that's free multi-million-dollar information there for you. But that gives you a real example of how you repackage or reframe what you're selling, so it does become interesting enough for somebody who's just scrolling through Facebook and saying, is this an ad? Yes, okay, this is interesting, and getting them what they call in the marketing industry a scroll stopper, and get them to actually stop what they're doing and actually respond and do it at a high enough rate that it'll be feasible for you to pay for the eyeballs that you're actually getting in front of. That's the other key thing that you have to know. And most people never make their ads work because unless they want to run search ads on Google, because the people are ready to buy, so they don't have to make any special offers. So that if they're just saying, hey, I'm a mortgage broker, it's already good enough. But on Facebook, they can't get it to work because they don't want to offer a gift card. They don't want to offer a free money back guarantee or whatever, something to make it sound interesting, because they're just greedy. They don't want to give nothing. They just want customers to buy from them and not ask any questions and not put up a fight and just buy from them. The more you think about what the customer wants from you and then say, can we actually offer that to them? Find a way so we could offer that to them, the better off you're going to ultimately be at the end of the day. Get in the customer's shoes. What do they want? What information do they want? What do they want in terms of a guarantee, whatever, and just give it to them. And the closer you get to what they actually want, that you can make work, the more successful you'll be at the end of the day. Running ads and just saying what you do, that doesn't work anymore because advertising has gotten so expensive online. It's still profitable as hell, but you can't just throw anything out there and hope that it'll work. It's not like that anymore. You actually have to be creative about what you're doing and get in the consumer's shoes. But like I said earlier, if you do what nobody else in your space is willing to do in terms of doing it better than them with their ads, you're going to make it work, okay? And if you have any questions about any of these things I just mentioned, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. You can ask me actually even any ad-related question. I'd be more than happy to try to answer it for you. I love to be able to give back to my viewers as you're helping our channel grow, so I feel like I'm obligated to do that. But with that said, those are the 5 tenets right here that you want to be able to deal with, and you want to know going in. I encourage you, if you really thought this was useful, watch this video again and really think about, have you done each one of these things already? The average person's so excited on the prospect of making so much money running ads for their business, they'll just dive in. And you can go ahead and do that and just teach yourself real fast so it's not so tempting that it doesn't work with very little planning and very little effort. Then come back to the drawing board and go through this list and do all the stuff that I said, because once you do, you'll typically now be on at least the right path to be successful. Once you've, on top of that, like I said, been doing it for a while, and the stuff that you thought will work, you find the 10% of it that actually does, and then focus on that. And then you're on your path to millions, because you've got your base profitable of what you started out spending, and you can start adding another 10 or 20% more budget every month and just keep scaling it up. And if you start with $1,000 a month in ad budget, it's already enough. All you got to do is raise the ad spend 10% a month, and you'll be at $100,000 a month in 5 years. Your business will already be huge just by doing the one thing, like I said, which is to understand and be a student of advertising and understanding how pay-per-click ads truly work, which all the information, all the fine details about what you need to make these platforms work, make your ad work on different platforms, which, by the way, once you get an ad working on Facebook, it'll work on TikTok, it'll work everywhere else with minor tweaks. But if you want to know how to get the most out of these platforms, there's no better information than what you're going to find on this channel, because it's coming from somebody who spends 40 hours a week doing ad testing and strategy for dozens of clients that we have, of which I give you all the information about those experiences on this channel for free. You really can't find better information online about how to make millions of dollars running ads for your business out there. And if you did find out there was better information, I want to know what it is so I can start watching it. And I've been looking around, and most people, that's why I can confidently tell you that. So you gotta be very careful of what you watch. There's a lot of people just making money off of AdSense. They're making money selling courses, and they ain't really running ads. And if you don't run ads and you don't have that experience, and I mean not a couple ads, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ads, you don't know practically anything in the grand scheme of things. I can tell you that because I've been doing it 20 years, and it takes a long ass time to really, at least to be able to teach other people what works. You need to be doing it a long time. With that said, by the way, last thing I'll say, they may know how, I ran an ad and my ads are profitable, and they may be able to teach you about that, but to know you could say it works for one industry, but it certainly may not work for another. Wisdom comes in is when you've ran one campaign type on 100 different markets, 100 different niche markets, and you were like, okay, it worked 73% of the time, so you could confidently come to the camera and say, hey, this will generally work if you have this type of business, but not this. And until you got that kind of insight, you really don't have any business teaching people anything other than to say, okay, I ran it for this business and it worked. Sure, but that's not going to give you perspective because your business is different. Every business is going to be a little bit different in how it operates and what works for it. And, this campaign worked perfect for this business, but this one won't for this business. You just got to know that going in when you go to study other people's stuff and what they're teaching as well. So with that said, I'll wrap it up with that though. Appreciate you watching. Good luck with your efforts, and I'll see you on the next one.
Remember when I said special offer was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.